Howdy y'all. In this video I'm going to show you how to outline and how to compose a singular body paragraph of an academic essay. The structure for this is not going to be what you would see in an argumentative class like 103, but it will be what you saw in 101. This is exposition or explanatory writing that we're doing for the most part in this class. It's responding to literature. So we're trying to take an idea and to explain it in more detail in the body. Now the main idea, of course, is put forth in your thesis in the introduction. And the structure of the body paragraphs, when you're trying to explain a particular point that is in the thesis, will be called TEA. So let's go through this slowly. Body paragraphs, 8 to 12 sentences. I can even say 14 sometimes, but it's got to be, full of flesh. It has to have some meat to it and some substance to it. Structurally, you're going to begin with your topic sentence, the T in TEA, follow it with your examples and your analysis, and then analyze those examples. And the focus of the analysis will be to help the reader understand how the examples or the quotes that you use help to develop the thesis, how they help to broaden out the reader's understanding of the point you're trying to get across. So our thesis in this essay, and I'm just answering the prompt question that was asked, as stated at the end of the introduction, will be Whitby grows into a better person. Yours will have some wording similar to that, right? And the job of the body paragraphs is to break that up into little parts. He grows into a better person, but there's many ways that he grows. And so a sensible way of handling the body will be to tell yourself, okay, I need to explain how he grows in one, maybe where he grows in another, maybe why he grows in yet another, with whom he grows in yet another. You can do it in terms of explaining the hows and the whys and the wheres and with whoms, etc. But you don't have to. You can just find one reason that you believe is a subset of his growth, loss, suffering, gathering information, whatever it is he does to grow, and build a paragraph around it. But the trick is to start with a topic sentence which explains that. All right, so again, to slow down a little bit, we have an overall structure and a body paragraph of TEA format, and we're going to shoot for 8 to 12 sentences. The topic sentence is only going to be one, right? Then the rest of the paragraph, the next 11 sentences, if you will, or 12 or whatever it's going to be, about half of that will be with the explanation and the examples. About half of that will be with your analysis where you interpret these examples for the reader. So save about half of your paragraph for your mind and your words to interpret the quotes in the literature, again, in your own words, so the reader can see, in this case, Whitby's growth through suffering or his growth through loss. Okay, backing up again. Now, follow along here where I have this text in brown. With this thesis, the task is to explain Whitby's growth. There are innumerable ways to do this. You should consider developing 1 or 2 concepts per paragraph, up to you. As I mentioned, you can do the how, why, with whom, when, and where, but you don't have to. Now, our topic sentence is going to be Whitby grows through loss, and now I'm going to start the explanation of that concept and get into some quotes to follow this in my outline. Eventually, I'll unite this all as one big paragraph. You'll note that I'm not worried about following MLA form here. I don't have to be in Times New Roman font. I'm not even using indentations. This is just my outline. I can do whatever I want with it. So, as I follow this topic sentence, I say, like many Americans, Whitby doesn't know his neighbors well and hasn't developed empathy for their own suffering. For Whitby, this is a missed opportunity to have a fuller life. Unfortunately, he must suffer loss in order to understand others' suffering. The lack of understanding he has about his neighbors is seen when he perceives the lights of Plotnikov's home going all on at once, and then views it as an anomaly rather than Plotnikov's passing. It takes Constantia to say something has happened in the house of Whitby and Constantia, right, for him to understand anything. It is only when Constantia dies in his arms and reanimates before moving across the street that Whitby's growth begins. This is best seen when he enters Plotnikov's home and sees the names of his compatriots carved into his coffin. And I have the 2 quotes that I use here in red. You can have 2, 3, well, 1 quote can be done in a body paragraph, 2 or 3, probably 3 max, right? Because you have to interpret them. I have 2 here, right? I want you to note that this part of the paragraph that follows the topic. It's 6 sentences long, right? So with a topic sentence, you only have 7. You should probably have a good 5 more sentences of analysis in which you're explaining to the reader what this quote means and how it helps to understand the thesis, or the topic and the thesis, and also how this one, and you'll take more time obviously with this one, how it helps to understand. Now, I'm not going to write this for you, okay? But following this, you'll transition into the analysis part of your paragraph. You can use language that's very standard, like this passage reflects, this passage shows, or Fuentes clearly puts forth this idea when, whatever language you want to use as a transition to start analyzing these 2 quotes. You might feel like this one doesn't need much, and it's okay. This one does need more. So let's look at this and let's consider how I might, as a student, transition into understanding this and what words I might use to help the reader. So I don't know, okay, Whitby is telling us. I only know that this condition of suffering, which seems so normal, such an essential part of life, as normal as going to the cemetery to read the names of our forebears, becomes upsetting when we see it on the marble of the Vietnam War Memorial or at the entrance to Auschwitz. Okay, so the Holocaust, right, or our Vietnam War. Now, I can start with this passage reflects, okay, that Americans are immune to suffering, and they shouldn't be if they want to grow. They should invest themselves in the suffering of others, the immigrants who come here, as is the case with Konstantin and Plotnikov. They need to be open to their stories. And so I'm using my understanding of this story itself to put forth these ideas for the reader, right? And that's all done here in the analysis. Now, the video is going on and I don't want to take too long, but I do want to say that this is a good way to outline a body paragraph, a good way to write for yourselves. And if you have any questions and you need any help, whether it's about MLA or grammar or how to develop it, just send it to me. I'll be happy to look at your draft in its entirety. I'll be happy to look at the individual paragraphs. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have, okay? But focus on interpreting the story for the reader. Your job is not to tell the reader what happens in the story, it's to interpret the meaning of it. So I want you to explain in your own words how Whitby grows. What is his process? It's not just repeating the facts as if this were a book report. It's going into your mind to think about Whitby as a person and see the transformation that he undergoes. All right. For now, that's it. I look forward to working with you.